What's good, everyone? Kyle here from Wrestling with Fans, and in this week's video, I'm going to give you a little bit of an excerpt from Thursday night's live stream, just chatting some of the wrestling news stories from this past week. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's start with an interesting one that I noticed earlier today. This came up earlier today. So WWE has apparently canceled an upcoming pay-per-view. We have Survivor Series coming up in November, but according to Uncle Dave over at Wrestling Observer, WWE was originally going to have a pay-per-view at the Allstate Arena in mid-December, which would have been the TLC pay-per-view, but apparently that is not happening now. They are concentrating on the WWE Day 1 pay-per-view, which will take place January 1st, 2022 in Atlanta, GA. And then, of course, we get the Royal Rumble later that month on the 29th from St. Louis. So I'm not exactly sure where this is coming from. No TLC, no December paper. So I don't know if they'll bring it back the following year or what's going on. The one good thing I can say is, they're going to have Survivor Series at the end of November. They can take a full month off because you got, obviously you got your Christmas season with all the other holidays going on, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all that stuff, all in December. And then New Year's Eve right after Christmas. It's a lot for people to try to watch wrestling and pay attention with the busy holiday season right around the corner. It's hard to believe it's right around the corner. So taking the month of December off might not be such a bad thing. And then they kick off the New Year right 2022 on January 1st with the Day 1 pay-per-view. So it'll be interesting to see if we end up getting TLC again down the line. Stephanie McMahon was recently inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. It took place this past Saturday. She's the first female executive inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. She took to Twitter afterwards stating, "Humbled and honored to be the first female executive inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame with such a prestigious class. The key messages from all were passion, love, hard work, intention, and believing in yourself. Hashtag words to live by, hashtag ISHOF. Recently speaking with That 90s Wrestling Podcast, Mike Bennett, who some of you may know as Mike Kanellis, husband of Maria Kanellis, who was under contract with WWE up until last year, and he was a part of one of the mass releases that went on. An interesting quote, and I thought I would share that with everybody. I mean, Roman is the best. He's the man. That dude would watch our 205 live matches and help us after our matches, and would give us good critique. He wouldn't be like, all of you guys are doing too much. Nope. He would be genuine and be like, hey, if you did this, but if you took a second longer after you did this, think about how the crowd would react. And you're like, oh, genuine critique to the point where you're like, oh, you're actually watching our matches at 10 o'clock at night when everyone else has left the building. Thank you. He's great. Without Roman, I don't know what I'd be interested in because there's really nothing else in that company that interests me. So an interesting quote there from Mike Bennett talking about how even after SmackDown was over, Raw was over, whatever the case would be, Roman is hanging out in the back, hovering around the monitor, watching 205 Live, and giving honest critique, giving these guys pointers, which is amazing. That he is our tribal chief, that he is our head of the table. Acknowledge him. Let's stay with Roman Reigns here for a minute. According to Paul Davis over at WrestlingNews.co, says here, we were told that he is the all-time merchandise seller among top heel wrestlers in the history of the company, Davis reported. One source told us that his merchandise sales are at the level of John Cena, and it's more impressive because Cena sold a ton of merchandise as a babyface, while Reigns is supposed to be a despised heel. If accurate, that is a huge deal. Heels have never made huge merchandise movers, while Cena is among the biggest in company history. For Reigns to be on par with the 16-time world champion is indicative of just how strong fans have connected with this version of his character. And I couldn't agree more. Same guy, Paul Davis of WrestlingNews.co, is also reporting there are no plans for Reigns to lose the Blue Universal Championship anytime soon. Even has a huge pay-per-view match with Brock Lesnar at Dirty Saudi Blood Money next week. Looms large. Again, it's not entirely surprising, if only because WWE recently shuffled around the Raw and SmackDown rosters, bringing new talent to the blue brand, like Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Sheamus. Now, if you remember 2 weeks ago, I did a full draft breakdown. You can check that out over at WrestlingWithFans.com. And I talked about how outside of Drew, there's no real serious babyface contenders for Roman on SmackDown. Yeah, he could do a one-off with maybe Xavier, a one-off with Kofi. Neither one would be taken seriously. Jeff Hardy is well past his prime, and I love Jeff Hardy, and I love that he's using No More Words as his theme song yet again. But realistically, the only person over there, I mean, Sheamus, they can turn babyface, and he would be, a credible challenger, but realistically, we know Sheamus ain't going to beat Roman. The only one that you could maybe think is Drew, but again, he had such a long run with the WWE Championship. WWE really needs to set somebody up long-term. Roman's been champ well over a year now. And if he keeps the belt for another year, like, an old Hogan run where Hogan would hold the belt for like 2 to 3 years at a time, I'm good with that. But during that time, they really need to build somebody up. They really need to start laying the groundwork for, babyface to come up through the ranks, build the steam, get that babyface heat, really set themselves up where 6 months, 9 months, a year, 18 months, 2 years down the line, whoever dethrones Roman Reigns is going to be a made man. So I really hope WWE is playing the long game with Roman. And they just got to be careful, too. They also got to make sure they keep the challengers fresh. So, while he's doing this program with Brock, start heating up the next babyface, whether that be Drew or Jeff Hardy or, a babyface turn for Sheamus. Start building up your baby faces. Let them get wins. Stop with this 50-50 booking crap. Somebody's got to lose. Build a baby face. Make them seem credible. Cal back here once again, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little news recap from our Thursday night stream. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe for more fun wrestling content right here on Wrestling with Fans. And we'll see you all in the next video.